Our fourth storyteller is Liliana Campos, and I've known her for a number of years, the longest of all of our storytellers, but she wrote a lot on her bio, so I'm gonna read it. She's a doctoral student, and believe me, it's a miracle she found the time to create a story with the schedule she's told me about. She's getting a PsyD degree at the University of San Francisco. Over the last 8 years, she's worked in an array of settings to support social and emotional health of adolescents and young adults. She was a health educator at Sequoia High School, the same one where Miriam attends, and worked closely with Redwood City's Immigrant Youth Action Team to help raise funds to support undocumented high school youth in their pursuit of higher education. Liliana crossed the border to the U.S. with her family at the age of 7. She was undocumented for 20 years and became eligible for legal permanent residency via a U visa in February of 2017, just a few weeks ago. Her personal experiences as an undocumented woman of color have deeply challenged and shaped her thinking about social and health disparities among underserved and underrepresented communities. Thank you, Lily.
So I'm going to go ahead and read from my paper. I'm going to try as much possible to look at all of your pretty faces. Great. Dear Immigration Officer, I would like to tell you about a dream I had last night. It was a dream about a little girl who loved kindergarten. She did not go to school very often because her mother took her door to door in Mexico City to sell children's books to families. A young mother with a small child probably inspired more people to buy from her. What she remembered the most was how much she wanted to read and color in those books, but could not because each book they sold meant money for food. She wanted to learn to read, and instead, they walked block after block, knocking on doors. On October of 1995, she and her family arrived in California. She was 8 years old. She was exhausted from the family trip, as her mother referred to it. She arrived in a foreign place with new teachers, new food, and a new language. The children's books which now sat at her dining table were for her to read. Her only job was to go to school and get good grades. One day, she found herself walking into her school's auditorium. It was filled with restless children and eager and enthusiastic parents. The principal called her name and hung a medal over her neck that read, Lilly Campos, Student of the Month. She did not quite understand the discussion that followed, so she searched for her mother's eyes in the crowd filled with restless children and eager and enthusiastic parents. Her mother's eyes and hers met for a quick instant, and in that moment, for the first time, they both believed in the American dream. They dreamt about having a happy life in their new home, the United States. They continued to dream. This little girl wanted to learn to read. And with every book she read, page after page, she would continue to dream about the American dream. I woke up suddenly. A shining light entered a corner of my bedroom to touch my face. I was dreading the sun of another day, but hurried into the shower anyway. My mind was lost in the warmth and influence of the water, the overflow of tears of sorrow and pain about this dream. For a minute, I let the water run. I stood in the shower, remembering the smell of the plastic that covered the children's books, the books that were only to be seen. Immigration officer, I was the little girl in the dream. Now, the books that sit on my dining table read. Diagnostic Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders, Principles of Psychotherapy, and Culture and Mental Health. I should be grateful for the books that sit on my dining table, but instead, I keep thinking about the dream. The dream lingered in my mind until the sun rested at its highest peak. I noticed the clock ticking like the sun that sheds light into our dreams. And suddenly, the phone rang. Congratulations, your U visa was approved. The phone went mute and my mind went blank. I turned to the shining light in the corner of my bedroom. I lost my breath, and my heart sank as I heard the person on the other side of the phone say, "Congratulations, your U visa was approved. You will now be able to get a green card." I should be thankful, but instead I keep thinking about my dream. My body lost in time, my heart racing faster than the thank you that came out of my mouth. And suddenly, I wake up. I wake up from the American dream. A dream that 11 million undocumented people fight for every day as we open our eyes to keep fighting and surviving the painful and unjust reality of the American dream. I feel a tear roll down my cheek, caressing every single one of the memories that brought me to this moment. Because according to your laws, this visa was only granted due to my brown and undocumented body being abused. And that is, if I have the opportunity and the privilege to survive, then only can I seek the opportunity for my body to be worthy of safety on paper. On paper. You mentioned about my worthy of citizenship and the fact that America recognizes my existence only and if trauma has occurred. But the application I submitted did not include a space for me to talk about the trauma and pain endured by the very same laws that continue to deny my safety and thus continue to perpetuate the violence against my undocumented brothers and sisters. At least, that is what your U visa and acknowledgement represents in my heart. If this is the line towards citizenship that you and others refer to, then I say no thank you. So I ask you on this day, immigration officer, a single day, which may be one of your many days at work, looking at one of the many letters on your desk. What happens next? What do I say to all the remaining dreams out there that have not met your desk nor your eyes, but are being dreamt and spoken about in your country and in your neighborhood? What do I do with the sense of pain and loss that remains despite now having the papers that keep playing with my sense of belonging and who I am? What happens to the other 11 million stories? Immigration officer, listen. Can you hear us? The millions of stories being lived, the 11 million voices. We are speaking. Can you hear us? Can you hear all the young immigrant children dreaming about a happy life in their country? I sometimes wonder about the future of that young girl who walked the streets of Mexico City. I will never know. The challenges I have faced have taught me to persevere, and the world has been my classroom. I no longer walk the streets of Mexico City. Today I walk the streets with my brothers and sisters protesting for our liberation and chanting words like, "Water is life," "Black Lives Matter," "Love is love," "No ban, no wall," "No human is illegal." Because we are here to stay. Unapologetically, one of 11 million. Thank you.